Hello everyone and welcome to the second part of the lecture about conservation of plants and animals. So last day we had ended with the knowledge of biosphere reserves. So let's recapitulate the topic a bit and then we'll move on with the other topics of the chapter before wrapping it up. So let's begin. So therefore, we had talked about national park, wildlife sanctuary and biosphere reserves in our previous lecture. Basically, we have talked about protected areas. These are the three major protected areas and there are differences in their ownership and the type of conservation activities carried out and some of the restrictions that are prevalent. So let's watch the video and we need to recollect whatever we have learned.
In the previous video, we have seen that the three types of protected areas are sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, and national parks. What do you think is the difference between these three protected areas? They are all meant to save biodiversity, that's right. Let us look at what distinguishes one from the other. Firstly, national parks. What does the very term hint at? National would mean involvement of the government authorities and park would mean some amount of recreation. Precisely what these are. National parks are areas that have interesting and rich flora and fauna. They also have a lot of natural, geomorphological, and ecological significance. By this we mean huge mountains, lakes, rivers, medicinal trees, and many more factors. This park area is marked by the government. What is its main aim? It is to protect and develop the wildlife or its environment. Does that mean the people living in this area are displaced? Of course not. People who have their homes continue to live here, but there are strict rules and regulations to be followed by them. All kinds of human activities that damage the environment are prohibited in a national park. Which activities are we talking about? Cultivation, hunting, forestry, grazing, encroachment, and habitat destruction are strongly prohibited. If people living here require procuring of any forest produce, they need to ask the relevant authorities. How can this area then be called a park? Well, that's because the government allows recreational activities for people like us. Camping and other activities are designed to help educate people about the need for conservation. These parks act like awareness arenas for common people. The question is, can the government declare any area as a national park? Yes, it can. Do you know when the first national park was set up in India? It was way back in 1936 by the name Haley National Park, which is now popularly known as Jim Corbett National Park. Did you know, as of July 2015, there are 103 national parks in India encompassing a whopping area of 40,500 square kilometers? Isn't that amazing? Now that you know what a national park is, let us look at the idea of wildlife sanctuary. The name itself tells you that this type of area concentrates its attention to the wildlife in it. What do we mean by sanctuary? The word sanctuary means a refuge. It is a place where animals find both shelter and protection. Which animals do you think will need such kind of protection? The endangered animal species. They are the ones that are threatened by humans or other factors. Can you name one? Tigers. Yes, the Project Save Tigers was a massive movement in India. India has 537 wildlife sanctuaries, out of which 50 are tiger reserves governed by Project Tiger. Wildlife sanctuaries protect these animals from being poached or hunted. What about the people and their activities in these areas? Unlike national parks, Wildlife sanctuaries allow activities like timber collection and collection of forest products. And these require prior permission as well. Now that we know two types of protected areas, let us study the third and the most interesting one in our next video. It's called a biosphere reserve.
We have already watched the video about Biosphere Reserve in the previous lecture, and today we have now watched the video about national parks and wildlife sanctuary, and hence we now have a brief idea about them. So let's proceed to other topics. So this is the comparison table among wildlife sanctuary, biosphere reserves and national parks. As you can see that firstly the basic definition of these three types of protected areas they are given, and then the types or the intention or the aim of this three types of protected areas they are mentioned, and last but not the least the restrictions which are prevalent in all the three types of protected areas they are mentioned here. So let's discuss them one by one. So here in the wildlife sanctuary, as I said earlier also, it can be owned by the government or by any private agency, and it can be jointly owned as well, and the aim is to protect any endangered species. So along with the endangered species, other species can also be present, but the main focus is to protect or conserve a particular endangered species of animals or birds. And restrictions are less and visits are allowed, but definitely with permission from the competent authority. Then both biosphere reserve and national parks, they are the properties owned by government solely, and they are meant to protect. In case of biosphere reserve, it means to protect the biosphere resources along with the species of animals and plants. And in national park also, the natural flora and fauna as seen in the natural habitat in the ecosystem, that is protected or conserved. And then in biosphere reserve, the unique feature is division of this protected area into three main categories or three main areas, that is the core zone, buffer zone and transition zone. And according to the zone, the activities are allowed. For example, in core zone, no human activity is allowed, only the animals can roam about freely as in their natural habitat. In the buffer zone, limited human activity of the local people, particularly such as collection of the timber or the medicinal herbs or the any other twigs, or then any other activities such as grazing, they are only allowed. And then in the last zone, that is transition zone or manipulation zone, the sustainable human development activities such as agriculture, tourism and all these activities, they are allowed. And in the national park, it is the highly restricted zone and no human interaction is allowed with the animals. They are not allowed to be disturbed by any means of human interaction. Now we'll come to know about the local level conservation, that the local people helps to how the local people helps to conserve. We in the previous lecture, if you remember, we have also discussed about the Chipko movement, in which the women of the village used to hug the tree and used to prevent it from protect it from being cut down. And in the similar manner, throughout the years, all the conservation efforts of the local people, they have been recognized, and wherever government has worked along with them hand in hand, so the fruitful result in which both the nature and the sustainable development has worked wonders. So the nature has been protected on one hand, that it has been conserved, and on one other hand, the sustainable development of the human beings due to the forest produce that has also been done due to this collaboration of local people along with the government, because local people always they possess the knowledge about the protection and how to carry out all the activities in a sustainable manner, because they have been living in and around the forest for so many years. So taking that into account, they have done, I will say, the preliminary knowledge how the system works, even if they don't have that scientific knowledge, but along with their knowledge of the generations from which they are living, so they have got the knowledge how to protect the forest as well as utilize the forest produce sustainably, so that neither the forest is exploited nor their people they are deprived of their needs. So now coming to the next topic, that is flora and fauna. Flora refers to the plant population of a particular area, whereas fauna refers to the animal population of a particular area. Now, what is flora? I already told you, plant population and all the plant lives taken together. Now, in a particular area, there can be different types of plants, as we have read about in our junior classes. There may be shrubs, there can be herbs, there can be plants, then there can be the trees. So all there can be there can be mosses or ferns. So taking all the types of categories of plant life into account, so together it is known as flora. And fauna is again different categories of animals taken together. It can be the herbivores, it can be the carnivores, it can be the omnivores, but whatever it is, all the animal species of a particular area, they together is known as fauna population of that area. So these are the different types of flora population, and these are the different types of fauna population, starting from the aves, that means the birds, the mammals, the reptiles, then the insects, or the arthropods, the mollusks, if I consider the classification background, so taking all the animals into account. Now, endemic and endangered species. Endemic species means those species or maybe of plants or animals which are seen in a particular region. That means they are native to that particular region and not found anywhere else other than that region. So they are known as endemic species. For example, the squirrel is given, Indian giant squirrel. Then kangaroo, you can find kangaroo in Australia only. So like this. Then endangered species means which are on the verge of being extinct. So those species of plants and animals, it means if they are not protected or conserved from now on, and the conservation effort should be very strict enough, so then it will not take long enough for them to become extinct from the face of the earth. So the species which face this risk or danger, those species of plants and animals are known as endangered species. So this is the Indian giant squirrel, as you can see, the exotic unique color, and that is the kangaroo. These are the endangered species: Bengal tiger, Asian elephant, giant panda, snow leopard, and all of them are conserved. The conservation activities have already started way before in order to conserve these animals from being extinct. Coming to red data book. So red data book actually is the list, or it is the record which is maintained. It can be particular region wise also, it can be country wise, but majorly it is maintained by IUCN, means it is a wing of UNO. So IUCN stands for International Union for Conservation of Nature. So this wing of UNO, that United Nations Organization, they actually prepare this record of red data book every year, and in this they actually update the information. For example, if due to conservation efforts some species have come out of the list of endangered species, then they will remove the name of that species from this book, and some new species have been included, then that will be written here. So like this record is updated every year, and this is the international record. But apart from this, for every country also we have got the red data book. Red is the color of danger in this case. So the species which face the danger of extinction, those species names have been enlisted in this red data book. Now, according to the danger level faced by the species for extinction, different categories have been assigned. For example, endangered, I already told you, that means this is the level before extinction, that being endangered. Then critically endangered. So critically endangered means they are very much, so they are above the endangered level. That means among all the endangered species, these species are way more endangered than the other endangered species. That is critically endangered. Then vulnerable means they are a level below endangered species, extinct we know, and then least concern. Least concern means for that we have animals in and around us such as cats, dogs, cows, goats, means whose numbers are way more to be extinct or to be included in the list of threatened species. Together, all the categories such as the endangered, then the vulnerable, then critically endangered, extinct, together they are known as the threatened species. But the species which do not face this risk, then those species are known to be included in this category of least concern. That means as of now, no such extra efforts need to be given in order to conserve their population. Now coming to migration. So migration is a phenomenon which is observed in many organisms. So earlier it was the fallacy that migration can be seen only for birds moving to the warm regions from the very cold regions. No, it is not the case. We can see migration in case of aquatic animals, fish especially, or for crabs or for any other organisms, means where whenever there is unfavorable condition for the survival, so then the organisms, for in order to survive or withstand the unfavorable situation, they move to another area where the situation will suit them, or they will save them for the timing, and then they return back to their original habitat. So this is what migration stands for. So we'll go by the definition. The process of movement of organisms from one region to another region is known as migration. It is mainly due to better living of those organisms. As I told you, in order to withstand the harsh climatic conditions, or in order to maybe laying eggs, or in order to nourish or nurture their young ones, or grow their young ones. So then temporarily they move from the unfavorable region to the favorable region, and then when the activity is over, then done, they get back to their habitat. Now the reason behind birds and animals, whoever migrate, can be many. Let's go through them one by one. Firstly, animals and birds migrate from one place to another in search of food, to avoid extreme weather conditions, or to breed. As I told you, for laying eggs or to withstand or the harsh climatic conditions. Then birds mainly migrate for food and the formation of nests to grow their young ones for their proper feeding, because in the extremely permafrost region, means the region which are permanently frozen in the poles, so what will happen, they will neither have food for their own survival nor for the survival of their young ones. So what do? They then migrate millions of distances, so therefore they can come to a region where they can survive themselves, they can find food, as well as they can lay eggs, and they can remain protected, they get shelter as well as food, and then they raise their young ones, and when the situation is favorable again in back in their habitat, so they return back to their home. So this is the idea. So now talking about this migration. So migration, in order to protect this migratory species, the Conference of the Migratory Species is the institution under Government of India which takes care that all the migratory species, they are provided with protection, shelter and food, so that the biodiversity and the ecosystem as a whole remains balanced. Now we will talk about recycling of paper and reforestation. These also come under conservation efforts, because more paper means more cutting down of trees. We know paper is made from the pulp of the tree, and also reforestation, in order to, in the beginning only we have gone through the journey of deforestation, we have learned about the causes and consequences also. So in order to compensate the havoc impacts caused by deforestation, reforestation is the only way out to nullify those impacts or detrimental effects caused to Mother Earth. So let's watch this video and then we'll discuss further.
How can you do your bit to save trees? Do you know the amount of paper we use in our day-to-day life? From newspapers, notebooks, novels, tickets, and you can name so many more. How is paper made? What goes into the making of paper? It would amaze you to know that it takes 17 fully grown trees to make 1 ton of paper. Can you imagine how much time it takes for 17 trees to grow to their full length? It takes many years to grow and takes hardly a few hours to convert them into sheets of paper. Papers are used for a single use and then are discarded. They are found in either a waste paper basket or landfills. It is such a pity that the fully grown trees are reduced to garbage. How can we avoid this? Just like water, we should also look at ways of recycling paper. There are huge factories now which have undertaken the noble purpose of recycling waste paper. Do you also know that the bagasse of sugarcane is now used to make paper? If we can think of alternatives like this, it will surely go a long way in saving trees. Recycling of paper will also save the amount of energy and fuel used in making paper as well. What about the best way of undergoing deforestation? It's called reforestation. If deforestation is cutting of trees, then reforestation is planting of trees. Yes, but though this may seem easy enough, it requires a lot of effort. A land that is cleared of trees will only get back to its former state when it's replaced with trees. However, care must be taken that the plants of the same species must be planted. The soil has nutrients and are suitable for the particular species only. The climatic conditions are also conducive to these species. Therefore, it's advisable to regrow plants of the same species. Are you aware of a process called as natural reforestation? Well, in the cases where trees have been cut down only for timber and the roots are left intact, these trees will grow back on their own. This can only happen if the land has not been used for any other purpose. However, all these measures are time consuming. Either way, they require many years to get back all the lost trees. The best measures would be to reuse the paper and other resources we have, recycle whatever is possible, and reduce our needs and wants. This would surely ensure proper conservation of both plants and animals. Each individual needs to take efforts to save nature. Only when we decide together as a whole will the earth see a miraculous change and we shall live again in a clean and green environment.
So now from this video we have got the idea first of all why recycle is necessary, then how to recycle paper, then deforestation and reforestation ideas, and last of all how can we make reforestation possible. So we will discuss all these steps or all these ideas now one by one. First of all, we know that recycling, along with recycling, we know there is the idea of 3 R's. 3 R's, which includes reduce, reuse, and recycle, isn't it? So reduce means we need to reduce the wastage. Since we are talking about paper, the topic is paper. So here we can say we can reduce the wastage by paper. We should not, for example, we take newspapers in our homes on a regular basis. We should never throw them. We need to collect them. Either we sell them anywhere so that it can be reused, or we can reuse it in our own homes. So first step is to reduce the wastage or waste generation caused due to old papers. We can either reuse them or recycle them, but we should never throw them and increase the burden of waste or from old papers. This is number one. Number two is reuse. As I said, that we can reuse it. Newspaper is used for so many reasons, for wrapping the things, for layering or in the shelves, or for many other purposes in the homes. So there are actually many innovative methods also we can think about. We can make collage also out of the newspaper. So many innovative ideas we can make out of the paper for its use. Then recycling, which is the topic here, how we can recycle. For that, all the papers, if I am talking about newspaper today, so let me stick to the topic of newspaper. So for example, for recycling, we need to collect a lot of newspaper. Then we need to shred them and then tear them into pieces, small pieces. That is only shredding. Then it will be bleached so that all the inks that are there, that is removed, and then that is made into a pulp. That means the pulp from which new paper can be made, which will be devoid of the written materials or the ink that was present previously when it was in the form of newspaper. So this is the process in short, that how we can recycle newspapers, that we need to collect them, shred them, then bleach them to remove the ink, make them into the pulp, and then again spread them in the form of sheets, so that again they can be used as new papers for printing or any other purpose. So recycling of paper, as stated in the video, will not only save energy, fuel, but also the time and the effort that is given in making new paper. Rather, we can use the old newspapers, and most important of all, it will save the trees from being cut down. And in this way, deforestation can be reduced. Next is the topic of reforestation. So before discussing that, I would like to clear out the idea of difference between reforestation and afforestation. What is the difference between reforestation and afforestation? Because both of them includes creating forest. So afforestation means creating forest in a land or on a land in which on which there was no forest earlier. So that is afforestation, means creating new forest on a land on which there was no forest earlier. And means again. Means again. So reforestation states that suppose a land has been cleared of the forest that was present earlier. So now the forest should be regrown. That is why we are again planting, so that the forest can be regrown. That means we are growing the forest again, which was present previously on that piece of land. So that is reforestation. So basically, so here afforestation helps to enhance the area covered under forest land, and reforestation helps to restore the area under forest land that has been lost due to deforestation. So this is the basic difference between afforestation and reforestation. So recycling of paper, as discussed, we know recycling is important because it reduces the need for deforestation. So the fact we have already seen that it will take 17 full-grown trees, which is a very substantial amount or number of trees that will go into making 1 ton of paper. Now let's discuss about the 3 R's, about which we have just now discussed while discussing about the recycling of paper. So let's watch this video.
In our last video, we learned how individuals can help contribute to solve global environmental problems. How exactly can we do this? Is there a particular plan of action? Yes, there is. It is called as the 3 R's. This is quite well known. Do you know what the 3 R's are? First, let me tell you how you can save the environment by enacting the 3 R's. You can then use these words words beginning with R. You go to a vegetable market. You happen to buy four different types of vegetables. Usually, you separate your vegetables in different bags to avoid the pain of separating them at home. Then you decide to put all of them in one single plastic bag. Let us freeze the act here. What did you just do? Quite rightly, you reduce the number of plastic bags you actually take home with you. That's great because it will mean less non-recyclable waste in the environment. If you reduce the number of plastic bags you carry, you can reduce the production of it as well. Greater demand leads to greater production. You refuse, and lesser demand could be lesser production. Now, because you just could not refuse the plastic bag and you had to carry the vegetables home, you have one plastic bag. One bag, one non-biodegradable bag, which could harm the environment. And so, what do you do next? To avoid taking a bag from the vendor, next time carry the same one to the market. What did you just do? Did you use the same bag once again? Yes, of course you did. Let us now guess the second R. Reuse. That's the second R. Now, after a few days, the bag you have been reusing over and over again unfortunately develops a hole. That means you cannot use it anymore. What is the solution then? Throw it in a dustbin? No. You can recycle the plastic bag. Send it to the factories that will melt the plastic and make a new one out of the same material for you again. Plastic then could first be reduced, reused, and finally recycled. This will ensure no new plastic is made and slowly we will help protect our earth. As individuals, we can do a lot for our environment. All we need to do is follow the three R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. What would happen if we do not follow these three R's? Fair enough, we produce new materials. Then why is production bad after all? Maybe because of two reasons. To produce something, we extract the natural resources. Extraction from the environment at an unbelievable pace can damage the environment. For example, mining causes holes in the Earth's surface, and this damage must then be repaired. What happens after we use the produced materials? True, we generate a lot of waste, and we must dispose this waste off. Both repair and disposal are major challenges, and if not done properly, can damage the earth and home. It is therefore necessary to avoid production and keep the earth as untouched as possible. We have produced enough to recycle and live a good luxurious life. In our next video, let us look at the present state of our forests.
So in the video, they have given a beautiful example at the individual level how we can go with the reduction of plastic waste with the help of three R's, that is by reducing the number of plastic bags or the reducing the usage, then reusing the plastic bags and not using the new one time and again, and finally recycling whenever it is damaged and not just throwing away in the waste bin. So in the same manner we can take this forward to the community level, then to the national and the global level at large. So three R's, they are applicable not only for plastic bags, for every type of item which can be extracted from nature or which are made up of natural resources. So in this manner, there will be two benefits. What are they? Number one, exploitation of natural resources for new products will reduce. So exploitation of natural resources for new products. Whenever we produce something new, we need to use natural resources from Mother Earth. So if we reuse whatever we have made already, so then extracting and again from the Mother Earth, so that will not be required, and in this way we can save more for generations to come. So, and that is the core idea of sustainable development. So, we will meet our needs, but at the same time, we will save for our future generation. And secondly, due to 3 R's, there will be reduction in waste generation and pollution. By referring to the example given in the video, we can say that if recycling is done, then waste generation, which could have happened if the damaged plastic bag would have been just thrown away in the dustbin. So that waste generation will now not occur. Rather, it will be again fit for use for again long number or many number of days. And also, if there will be deposition in the land or in water or maybe burnt, then it will be mixing with the air particles. So in any case, if in whichever method we would follow to dispose that plastic bag, so that would have led to pollution. That will also not happen if we follow these 3 R's. So plastic is one example, but we can do this for everything. Newspaper example also I have given. So if in the similar manner we recycle newspaper, so waste generation due to the used newspaper as well as pollution caused due to the waste generation. So landfills or will be filled up, and then it will take time for that paper to decompose. So that will not happen. And most importantly, as I said, the exploitation of natural resources for new products will be reduced to a lot more. Now we'll watch a video regarding forest. Then we'll discuss more about reforestation.
Dense trees, lush green leaves, carpet full of soft grass, and so many other such factors make forests an extremely important habitat for several organisms. Have you ever been to a forest? Well, if not, then let's have a virtual tour in this video. This is how a typical rainforest would appear from a distance. Can you notice that some trees are very tall while others are comparatively less tall? And the lower region has smaller ones like shrubs and grass. Is this how most of the densely packed forests look? Yes, this is exactly how they look. So in order to study them, we divide the forest region into various zones. These zones are also called layers. So how do we name them? Do we name them as layer 1, layer 2, and so on? No, we don't. Each layer has got a specific name. Let's understand the layers as we move from the top to the bottom. To begin with, can you notice these few trees popping up their heads from this lower green belt? That's called the emergent layer. Why emergent? That is because the layer has only a few tree heads that emerge out. Now, as this layer has only a few trees emerging out, it's obvious that these trees receive maximum amount of sunlight. They are also capable of withstanding extreme weather conditions like excess heat and heavy rainfall. After this layer comes this green belt. The layer is called a canopy. What does canopy mean? In literal terms, it means a covering hung over something, especially a throne or bed. So, is this layer covering something? Yes, it is. The layer forms a roof over the smaller trees below it and also the forest floor. The canopy is further divided into upper canopy and lower canopy. The upper canopy has trees with comparatively smaller leaves, while the lower canopy has larger leaf trees. The lower canopy is very rich in animal life. The presence of larger leaves, availability of plenty of food, and many such other factors favor the dwelling of organisms in this zone. Now, which region can you spot after the canopy? It's this region. The zone is called as understory. The humid conditions of this layer also help in development of rich animal culture. Several species of reptiles, insects, and even mammals like bats dwell in this layer. Several interesting animal adaptations like camouflage, sharp sensory organs, and many more can be studied in this region. And not only animals, but even a variety of plants like shrubs, ferns, climbers, and so many others are found in this region. The last zone we need to know about is the forest floor. As the name suggests, this layer is the base, or simply put, the lowest zone of all. What do you think will be the life forms found in this region? Plants like creepers and grasses are abundantly found forming lush green carpets on the forest floor. What about animals? All the terrestrial animals occupy this zone in the forest. From big cats like jaguars and tigers to the huge animals like elephants, many animals occupy the forest floor. Not only these, but even smaller insects and a few animals like frogs are seen in this layer. This was about the various layers of a typical forest. Each layer has its own significance. But can you tell me what the importance of studying a forest is? What will happen if we do not have forests in nature? Why are forests so important? Let's find out the answers in the next video.
Basically, here we have understood about different layers that can be observed in forest. Starting from the emergent layer to the forest floor, there are 4 layers. Let's recapitulate. From top to bottom, emergent layer, canopy layer, understory layer, and finally forest floor layer. And we should not forget, canopy layer is divided into two, upper and lower. These are the 4 layers about which we have seen in the video. Emergent layer is the layer in which only a few trees will emerge out from the majority of the trees, and they will get maximum sunlight and rainfall, and they are also very much tolerant and can withstand harsh climatic regions such as thunder, extreme temperature. Coming to canopy layer. Canopy layer, we know, as said in the video, it is the covering the topmost covering which is formed by majority of the trees, that is the canopy layer. It is divided into upper canopy layer where leaves are small in size and lower canopy layer where leaves are large in size. Insects such as butterflies, they lay their eggs on such large leaves which act as the shelter as well as food resource for the growing offsprings. Canopy layer, especially the lower canopy layer, as said in the video, it provides the habitat or the home to many organisms who can camouflage and remain covered in that layer which are formed by the leaves population of the tree. Then the understory where we mainly find animals such as mammals or that is the bats or that means the canopy layer that they are present below the canopy layer on the underside. That is why the name understory. So it is present on the underside of the canopy layer. So from above, the upper side is the canopy layer and lower from the underside to the canopy layer, it contains the understory layer. And finally, we have the forest floor, which is inhabited by majority of the wild animals ranging from decomposers to the large animals such as elephants. And forest floor is home to many shrubs, bushes, creepers, climbers, as well as grass population. So this is the brief idea about the forest. Now we'll move forward to know about the importance of reforestation and why we need forest. So reforestation means replanting trees. I have already told when I discuss about the difference between reforestation and afforestation. Now natural reforestation will occur without any human intervention, but definitely it will take time. Complete removal of forest. So if it will take again many years for that area to get replenished. Then, by law, India's Forest Conservation Act prevents forest to be removed illegally, though it has been breached many times and it continues to be breached, but that is a matter of controversy. But here we need to know that law is there that if you cut down any forest and reduce the forest cover, then you need to face the law and then you also have to compensate with penalty. Coming to importance of forests. We know forests are known to be the lungs of Mother Earth because they produce huge amount of oxygen. But apart from it, we also know that there are many products and also many services which are provided for by forest for which they are of utmost importance for the survival of human beings as well as other animals on planet earth. So let's watch this video and know more about importance of forests.
A complete forest can be addressed as a dynamic living entity. The numerous types of trees, the variety of animals, and so many other factors add to its vibrant nature. Now tell me one thing, do we study forests only because they're so beautiful? Or is there any other reason why we study them? The most important reason to study forests is because they harbor numerous lives and also play an extremely important role in the ecosystem. And how does that happen? Let's find out. We know that carnivore like a lion eats a herbivore like a deer. And what does the deer eat? It eats the leaves of trees and grass. And where do trees get their food from? Well, trees don't get it, but they make it instead. Yes, the process of photosynthesis helps the trees to make their own food. That means the herbivore will die out of starvation if trees are not present around. And the same will be the case of the carnivore when the herbivore will not be available as food. This is nothing but a food change. Yes, the plants are eaten up by herbivores and the herbivores are eaten up by the carnivores. The chain of food is the food chain. Now, what has food chain got to do with forests? Well, it's simple. Forests are the best sites for natural food chains to take place. Ample amount of trees helps the herbivores to get ample amounts of food. This also helps the carnivores to feed on the herbivores. Now tell me one thing. What will happen when the carnivores die? There is nobody to eat them. So after they are dead, the little minerals in the soil, named the decomposers, degrade their bodies. The decomposition reaction helps in releasing certain nutrients in the soil. These nutrients are absorbed by the plants along with the water. The soil which is rich in these organic nutrients is called as humus. This type of soil is extremely beneficial for the growth of plants. Another example of interdependency is that of oxygen and carbon dioxide. We know that all organisms take in oxygen while inhaling. They release carbon dioxide as a part of exhalation. Now let's look at the trees. Can you tell me what is the starting material used for photosynthesis? Yes, that's carbon dioxide. This indicates that the carbon dioxide released by the animals will be taken in by the trees and in turn oxygen will be released by them. This is how various components of the forest depend on each other. May it be nutrients or the life-sustaining elements for respiration. Forests harbor a wide variety of life forms, each with their own unique characters.
Here again we have watched about importance of forest. Let's enlist the steps or the factors which make forest important to us one by one. First of all, supply of oxygen, and hence forests are known to be the lungs of nature, right? Secondly, source of food. Now, we cannot convert the food, or we cannot convert the inorganic substances such as the carbon dioxide or water or sunlight into organic food, that is glucose or any other sugar. This capability has been given only to autotrophs or producers, that means the plants. So they convert the inorganic raw materials into organic food source. And this organic food source is then utilized by all the heterotrophs, means who cannot make their own food. I'm not talking about making any food item like Maggi or any curry, because I'm talking about the food nutrient that we receive from any food that we take. So that nutrient is prepared by plants from the inorganic raw materials which is present inside that food source that we are consuming. So plants only have that capability to convert the inorganic raw materials into organic food source. So they serve as the source of food, and all the other organisms depend on that food source either directly, just like herbivores, or indirectly, just like omnivores and carnivores. Then, since in the forest structure we have seen about the different layers of forest, and there I have talked about the decomposers, and in the video also you have watched how decomposers help in recycling of nutrients. So that goes into the third points, that recycling of organic matter. When any organism, living organism, be it the plant or animal, whoever dies, then the decomposers present on the forest floor will decompose the body and then release the nutrients which will be mixed up in the soil and taken by the live plants and trees, and then again the cycle will continue. So forest plays an important role in this function because they are home to decomposers. Then other nutrient cycles, for example water cycle. So there also the process of evaporation is the first step, and their forest through the process of transpiration contributes in this process of evaporation, because water vapor are released from stomata and they are then condensed to form droplets which further from the clouds and come down as precipitation. So we can say that the forests also participate in nutrient cycles. Apart from water cycle, we also have got nitrogen cycle. There also nitrogen fixing bacteria convert inorganic nitrogen from atmosphere into the ammonia, which are then taken up by the plants and utilized and assimilated for growth purpose, development purpose, for making proteins, and then again when they die or then it is passed on to other animals also through food chain, and when those animals also die, all those nutrients are released into the soil. So that is also an example of nutrient cycling. Just like water cycle, nitrogen cycle is also facilitated by the forest. And also in the forest, the in food wave network formation. So food wave we know is formed when multiple food chains interact with each other. A single organism in a particular trophic level can be eaten by two or more different organisms which belong to two or more different food chains. There are many possibilities. So many food chains interact with each other. So it enhances along with the number of organisms present in a particular ecosystem. So basically in the forest ecosystem, the number of wild animals present, they will lead to interaction of multiple food chain, and finally food wave will be formed, and hence the ecosystem balance will be maintained. As correctly explained in the video, that if a particular group of organism is completely extinct, then all the other animals from all the food chains in that food network who were dependent on that organism as food source, they will all perish. So that is not at all desirable. So that will lead to loss of biodiversity and ultimately ecosystem imbalance. So these are the main functions which can be included under importance of forest, for which we need to conserve forest by afforestation or deforestation. So by understanding the impacts of deforestation and taking steps like reforestation and recycling, we can either contribute to a greener, healthier planet and safeguard biodiversity. So you need to understand the core value that conservation of plants and animals is actually needed for the conservation and long time sustenance of human existence on this mother earth, because we are all interdependent on each other. If they perish now, we will perish next. This is the idea that we need to believe as soon as possible and start working at our own individual level from now on. It is high time that we realized the importance of the conservation and all the efforts made from the end of the government, and now we also need to participate, because government alone cannot change everything in one day. Today, if we do all the efforts, slowly all the people in our area, then all the people of our state, and in this manner, all the people all around the globe will be aware of the impacts that can happen, even if all the individuals take small steps at their own levels. So this is about this chapter, and sooner we understand this, the quicker we can recover whatever has been already lost. And it is not that we can recover everything, but whatever we can replenish, so then we can leave a cleaner, healthier planet for our future generations, who will thank us when they will come to dwell, and then they will understand the legacy that we have left behind for them. So with this, I, Shushmita ma'am, am signing off for now, and then we'll meet again with the next topic on another chapter. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Thank you.